huh? Charleston. What kind of question would he ask? What kind of thoughts you got going into this thing?
Charleston?
What kind of thoughts you got going into this thing as far as your team goes?
I think we've gotten better in some areas. I think there's certainly some areas we need to shore up. They're a terrific rebounding team. I think they about rebounded in their 5 wins. They about rebounded their opponents by 12 a game. That's like plus 60.
And you?
We haven't out-rebounded anybody. We don't out-rebound ourselves in practice. But we're getting better. We are getting better.
Traditionally, this game has been one where there's been a lot of whistles early and often. Given the foul problems you've had with your interior players, is that even more of a concern going into this game than usual?
It wasn't that bad last year. I think it's made to be more than what it is sometimes. You know what I mean? I think I don't know when's the last time there was a disturbance other than a guy throwing a coin on the floor. You know, I don't think it's generally speaking, it's a game between two pretty good teams.
It's been one that's disrupted your conference schedule in the past, and now it's not. Do you prefer that? How much is that going to be more beneficial than having to come right in the middle of Big 12 play?
It's hard for us. I mean, it's hard for us because we generally have a CBS game during the conference season. You know, we've got another one this year. We've got Purdue again this year on CBS. So, you know, I think when everybody else is getting a week off, we're not getting a week off. Well, everybody doesn't get a week off because I think if you look at, generally speaking, the better teams in the league, I think Texas is probably playing in their off week, and Kansas is probably playing. Sure, probably K-State's playing. Probably everybody, just about everybody's playing. But it's, you know, it's generally a made-for-television game. So it's kind of where it's supposed to be, I think.
I'm sure coaches like to have smooth sailing all year long if they could, but doesn't it help get points across to have your rocky points early in the year and have something to yell about or fix rather than have to make things up?
That's the theory we're hanging on to. You know, I do think sometimes when you don't play anybody and you know, what are you supposed to do? Come out after beating VMI the way, you know, we beat VMI and yell and scream about how we didn't do certain things right. I think it does fall on deaf ears. I think that's, you know, the advantages of playing people. You know, I said when we came in here that we're gonna upgrade the schedule and we're gonna continue to play people. I think you look at this year's schedule and if you look at what we're doing next year, I mean, it's not any easier next year, maybe harder. So I don't know who's in Cancun yet, but the theory is it does make you better down the stretch. Makes you more prepared. You just hope that it doesn't, you know, sometimes it can kind of screw with guys' confidence a little bit and their heads a little bit. You hope that doesn't happen. I don't think it has, but.
All that said, Bob, when you put this together, these are 4 really different games in a row. Thinking about, what, 10 days, but Tech looks really good, probably better than people thought, maybe with the first-year coach. Marshall's strong. Obviously, Michigan's good. It's compact. I know you had high hopes for it. Is this above or right about what you thought this stretch here?
No, I knew Marshall was going to be good. They have the majority of their team back, so I knew they were going to be good. Tech had the majority of their players back. I think, they've had the misfortune of being hurt the last few years and haven't been able to put everybody out there. And they've stayed, I think, at least relatively healthy, which is a big part of it. We've still got two bigs that haven't practiced going in the game. So I think you have to be fortunate in that regard that you can keep guys healthy.
Is there a diagnosis for those two right now? How far away they are?
Amputation.
Get a red shirt for that?
It's not their foot, though. That's a joke. No. On TV. No, I think Kevin can go a little bit today. I think the report is Dom's not going to be able to go today. So.
They both ankles or?
No, they just sprained one apiece.
After the last game, Eric said that he felt like he was at like a 6 out of 10 in terms of grading himself where he is now compared to where he could be. If you could give an assessment of those two, he and Jawan, maybe, where they are this early in the season compared to where you would hope they would be or where you see them getting to?
I hope all our professors are that lenient in their grading skills. Eric hasn't scratched the surface, I don't think, of what he can do. Jawan's learning. I think it's different. It's different being out there in practice and being out there in a game. But he's learning. I think he's learning better when guys come open. Who's supposed to come open and what the progression is of people coming open. He's getting better. I don't think he's near what he's going to be. I don't think either one of them are near at least what they can be.
Well, speaking of these 4 games, is this the time when, how important are these for your team to come together now and kind of start reaching to where it's hopes to be?
Well, all I can tell you is my year in the Big 12, we finished 4th in the league, and they took 4 teams, and we weren't one of the 4. And I think to a large degree that's because we went to New Mexico and got slaughtered, and then we went to Cal and got slaughtered. We didn't play, obviously near as hard a schedule as what we're playing now. But, even though Oklahoma wasn't a league loss, it certainly lost to somebody in the league, so that doesn't really help you. We need to win games. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think when they do the matrix, they used to say, your last 10 games, you haven't heard that in quite a while. I think that's probably gone by the wayside. I think maybe if there's 2 teams that they're everything else being equal, that probably could be the deciding factor. But I think they take a look at the matrix and they say how many games you won against top 50 teams, how many you won against top 100 teams, how many teams how many have you played against sub 300 teams. If you load your schedule up with sub 300 teams, and you may have more wins than somebody else, but somebody else has played a harder schedule. I didn't look at where we are now, but I think going into the VMI game, we had the 4th best schedule in the country, with a lot more coming. But that being said, those are great games to play, but you got to win.
Do you expect Humphrey to be good to go Wednesday?
Yeah, he's practiced. He's fine. He could have went the other day. It's just, I mean, why? You know, I mean, it was sore and he had tweaked it a little bit. There's no sense. When we had everybody else.
Couldn't
What
make
about them
sense.
personnel-wise? Marshall, what do you like about them? Besides the rebounding?
Well, I think it starts there. I mean, Tennant's been terrific. He's getting 9 rebounds a game again. I think he was at like almost 11 a year ago when we played. Kane's been great. Kane, I didn't really pay attention how many he got Saturday night, but I think he had 63 going into Saturday night. And that's a bunch now. I mean, he's averaging almost 10 assists a game. And then they recruited a couple guys could make shots on the wings with size. And they've made big shots for him. And they've got just a ton of bigs, you know, and I don't know all the whys and wherefores, but, you know, Goff played a bunch and then he didn't play quite as much, and then he's playing again. It's probably, I would assume it's performance-based for what you do in practice. Spikes is way, way better. It certainly gives him a shot blocker. But, I mean, honestly, they run everything through Tennant.
Coach, I think this is the last game Bodie has to sit out. Just kind of wondering, what have you been seeing from him? And, you know, is he going to be able, is he a guy who's going to be able to, you know, come in the next game after this and
Justin, has been hard. You know, I mean, it's a hard situation to have to put a kid through, you know, because you can't possibly pay as much attention to him.
Right.
Well, we've played one home game, and he's not allowed to travel either. So he hasn't been around the team. He hasn't been able to, you know, to see all the film, to see the scouting reports, to do all those kind of things. It's a tough spot to put anybody in. You know, it's maybe one thing if you played for a year and then you missed 6 games, but you know, and we had until you know lately we had 5 bigs for practice, and you're trying to get obviously the 3 that played the first 3 games ready, and then you try to get Dom ready. He's not. He doesn't know what those other guys know, obviously, and those other guys, you know, I mean, Harry didn't practice very much, but those other 3 guys have been around, so just from a knowledge standpoint, it's hard. I mean, he's certainly the best shooter of the 5. He's the biggest.
Yeah.
He's the tallest.
What's his aptitude like? Can he, like, by the end of the season?
It's hard to tell because I mean, there's a language barrier.
Yeah.
You know, Dennis was here for a year.
Right.
You know, so Dennis obviously understood English a whole lot better than what Boldy does. And honestly, the guy's been great. I mean, they try to help him, but I don't know how much he comprehends sometimes. You know, and then you get trying to get some things done. You get talking a little faster. And I don't know how much of it he comprehends sometimes. He's a great kid. He's a great kid. And he's going to be a really good player, I think, but I can't tell you when.
Right.
If he can make shots, he's not afraid to shoot it. So that's. I mean, he gives us a. What do they call it? A stretch 4, I believe is the terminology now. I kind of lose track, but I think that's what basketball terms now is. He's a stretch 4. I mean, he can stretch the defense. He's more in that regard like KJ than what our other guys are. And you know, really, when you think about it, that was one of the. And KJ's a terrific rebounder and a really a much better defender than what everybody gave him credit for being. But really, what he did was he stretched people.
Mm-hmm.
You had to guard him. I think in the game last year, he hit 2 huge threes that kind of opened the game up a little bit for us. Which we hope that's what you know, Voting be able to do for us.
Seems like Dennis hasn't been quite the same player he was a year ago. Do you think that's in part because of you changing the styles of that you're playing, pushing it a little more, or the addition of Murray too, out there to make it a little different kind of role for him?
No, I think, Bob, I think really, in all honesty, he's the focus of the defense now, and he wasn't before. I think everybody now comes in and worried about guarding Dennis close to the basket, where before they worried about guarding KJ. You know, I think everybody kind of geared their defense more to KJ than they did to Dennis. Now I think Dennis has been the focal point of what everybody wants to stop. And, you know, quite frankly, Dennis doesn't use everything that he has. And, you know, I think hopefully that's kind of sunk in with him. I know he's spent more time working on some other things that he's pretty good at doing. He just, you know, I think a lot of times when you get pressure, you know, you revert back to what you think you do best, and they kind of know that after watching 4 years of tape. They kind of know what that is, and so he's got to be able to do some other things that he's very capable of doing, in all honesty. He's very capable of doing.
May I ask what those are? I know he kind of bowls in and he has a good left hand.
He does have a right hand.
He does?
Yeah, he does, yeah. And actually pretty good with it. He's right-handed.
Right.
Not left-handed, he's right-handed. And he uses his right hand terrific in practice. Well, he has the last couple of weeks. And he did early, you know.
Are we talking an array of like Olajuwon moves, or is he just
Define
he can do the
array.
same? Three? Three?
Define
I don't know.
Olajuwon.
Yeah. I know he's not a jump shooter, but I mean, if he can do what he does with his left hand with his right, that doubles it, obviously, but is it more than just hook shots?
He's very capable of backing out and making jump shots. He's certainly capable of going over his left shoulder and making shots. He's very capable of that. And probably, truth be known, we haven't passed the ball to him as well as what we need to pass the ball to him.
Is he under orders not to take that ridiculously wide open three-pointer that he gets 5 or 6 times every game, or is he just smart enough not to take that?
Well, I'd say a combination of both. He likes to play, stay in the game. You know, David, there's a fallacy. Why would you want Dennis shooting a three today with, you know, early in the clock? I mean, you wouldn't. I mean, I don't know who would. Much like I didn't want John Flowers shooting a three early in the clock. You know, when you look at their numbers, there's a reason. But, you know, as John continued to get better, and as Dennis has gotten better, you know, later in the clock, good shots are when you have a chance to rebound. You know, when you pop Dennis out and have him jacket 5 seconds into the clock, we don't have much of a chance to rebound. And really, when you think about it, KJ didn't take a lot of threes early in the clock. He took some in transition, which we wanted him to. But other than that, he didn't take a bunch early in the clock.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.